Konstantinos Sotirelis is the only still active founding member of the Serpent Lord metal band from Greece. And Serpent Lord just had a Balkan tour a few days ago when they visited Budapest, Hungary, Craiova, Romania, Novi Sad, Vojvodina, Serbia, and Pleven, Bulgaria. It was the first tour since the COVID-based restrictions are not anymore, and cultural events are again possible to make live. So, how is the metal scene in Greece compared to other European countries?
First of all, thank you for having me here and for this interview. The metal scene in Greece a few years ago was something very strong. We had too many a lot of bands. We had a lot of live shows with local bands. Now the situation is not the same. After the COVID, the bands are less, the live shows are less, and most of the bands don't have the same. They don't want to do it the same like before the COVID. Most of the musicians are they don't feel like they can do it anymore. So I don't know how the situation is in Europe, but here in Greece, unfortunately, we have a lot of good bands, but it's very difficult for us to do something more than releasing an album or doing 2 or 3 shows in Greece or even in Balkan.
And how was it earlier, as of you thought that there were much more actions, much more bands in Greece who played metal, and what can be done to have again that quite good gold era, or is it not anymore to revive?
You know, a few years ago, the scene was more like a scene because everyone was trying to support each other. Bands were supporting each other. The audience was supporting the bands, the clubs, the magazines, the webzines, everything. And everyone was supporting each other. But now I can't see this happening again. Or maybe in the near future. I don't know why the situation has changed so much. But now it's very difficult for a band to book a show. The cost is too high. Everything is too expensive. And that's why I believe that it's very difficult to build this Greek scene again in the near future. I think that we have to change a lot of things in our mindsets. All of us, the bands, the audience, the club owners, the promoters, the magazines, everyone. If we want to have a scene like maybe Germany or other countries, Sweden, and we have to be one to support each other and not trying to make a profit by by not helping others and giving attention only to our goal. You can do anything if if you are selfish and you're just looking your own good. I believe that this is the problem now, and after the COVID, because everything was much more expensive. So everyone now looks his own good, and they don't want to support each other. I don't know why. I can explain it. I don't know why this happens, but this is a sad situation, and I believe that everyone who is in this kind of scene in Greece can see this happening.
How is the culture of politics in Greece? Do the regional authorities or the central government, the Ministry of Culture, or the municipalities, the cultural sections of the municipalities, having certain supports for bands, for music, for producing albums, or not at all?
No, no one is helping us here. Um, Actually, this is not only about rock and metal. This is about music and arts in general. For some reason, here in Greece, the governments, not just this government, all of the governments, don't pay attention to the arts. So it's very difficult for an artist, even if he's not a musician, maybe he's a painter or something like that, an actor. They don't pay attention to us, so it's very difficult for an artist to make money from his art and focus on his art. He has to work a lot of hours to a job just to have enough money to give to his art. Unfortunately, there is no help here, and everything, the albums, the music videos, the release, the distribution, the tours, everything is something that we give money from our earnings.
Serpent Lord is playing metal music with very transcendental and esoteric texts. How you combine the riffs and the esoteric content, and what is the motivation to make such kind of very special music?
Um, I don't know if it's special music, but thank you for this. I appreciate it. Um, uh, you know, sometimes I write first the riffs, sometimes I write first the lyrics, but always I have in mind an atmosphere, something occult, something that has to do with God or devil, good and evil, um, or life and death. All of my problems are this life and death. So I'm writing about this, and that's how I combine the riffs and the lyrics. Even if I'm writing just a riff, I'm trying to have something that is aggressive and powerful, but it's also something atmospheric and will make the listener to travel to his own soul, to his own theories about life and death. And this is my goal, to make the listener, the audience, the fans listen to my music, listen, read my lyrics, and try to make their own stories. Even if I'm telling one story, I want them to make their own conclusions and stories about problems like life and death, religion and war and everything, war, love, everything.
Now you had your first tour after the COVID era, where you visited some cities outside Greece, among others Budapest, where I also attended your concert. Uh, was it similar or the same like before having this tour, or if not, what is different in the tour now than before COVID?
The difference is that now everything is much more expensive than it was 4 years ago. And I can understand this because the economic situation is much worse nowadays than it was 4 years ago. But this makes touring even more difficult to us. As I said, no one is giving us money, so we have to make our own money to sponsor our tours. So nowadays it's much more difficult to go outside Greece and book some shows. Um, Thankfully, we managed to do this tour now, and it was a good experience. It was very good. I hope that we'll have the opportunity to book another tour after September. We are talking with a few promoters about that, but we can't promise anything because, as I said, the cost is too high now, and we have to schedule it very carefully.
And how are the possibilities within Greece to tour, for example, during the touristically very high season where many tourists are going to Greece from other countries?
Um, Summer in Greece is it's a bit weird for a metalhead because for a metal band it's a difficult situation to book a tour during summer because we have so many gigs, especially in Athens. A lot of big bands are visiting Greece. This year we have Ghost, Disturbed, Nightwish, Creator, Amon Amarth, so many bands. So it's difficult for a band, for a local band, to book a Greek tour during the summer. We want to book a few shows here in Greece. We will probably book one show in June in Thessaloniki. But for the rest of Greece, I think we will have to wait until September, until the end of September. I hope that we will manage to book 3 or 4 shows around Greece then.
You are not from the capital city Athens, but from Thessaloniki, the second biggest city. How is it for a band, a rock band, or another style band, which is based in the countryside? Is it much more difficult than if you were in Athens? Than if you were based in Athens, or are there quite similar possibilities to make everything also from Thessaloniki as well? Because, for example, if we look at Hungary, of course, in Budapest there are 1,000 times more possibilities for bands and musicians than in Debrecen, the second biggest city.
Yeah, I think it's almost the same here because Athens is half of Greece, so the possibilities are higher there. They have much more. They have many more venues to book shows. They have a lot of rehearsal studios, recording studios. And I can say that nowadays in Athens people are more supportive than in Thessaloniki. Around 8 or 10 years ago in Thessaloniki, we had too many bands, too many live shows, maybe 4 or 5 local live shows each week. So we were in a very good situation, but suddenly this movement stopped. Most of these bands are not here anymore. I don't know why. They have their own problems, but they're not bands anymore. So the situation in Thessaloniki now it's weird. There aren't a lot of bands, especially to our style. So it's difficult for someone to book a show with a more heavy metal vibe. We have a lot of bands that are more metalcore and pop punk, but the heavy metal here is not so famous anymore.
What are your plans for the near future?
Well, our plans. The first plan is to book a show here in Thessaloniki because we haven't played a headline show here for 4 years. I think it's time to do it. We will present our latest album, the new lineup. We have a lot of changes now, so I think it's a good time to present the band to the fans here in Thessaloniki. Also, we will start working on some new songs. Actually, we have around 15 songs ready, but they were written around 1 or 2 years ago. So now we have to rework on them and see what we will keep, what we will change. So summer will be a good period for this work. And hopefully, after September, we are planning to tour in Greece and in Europe. We have some proposals, but as I said, we have to schedule it very carefully and see which is more beneficial to us, which proposal is much more beneficial to us.